Hi, this is Lorraine, and I'm doing another video. If you'll give me a second to clear, center, and balance my energy, we'll get started. Well, so I guess I'll just start with vision that I saw when I was clearing my energy. Actually, every time before I started the video, every time I went into like this clearing session, because I normally clear the space several times before I even start the video, and then I do another clearing when I start the video. And every time I went to clear the space, I kept seeing the same vision, which was a lot of times you'll see, or I'll see, and you even see, even on like the movie Moana, the heart of Tafiti had that spiral, the Fibonacci spiral, or that went that was on the stone, the heart of Tafiti. So I saw a variation on that spiral. So instead of it being round, it was square, and so the spiral was square, and it kept going in, but it didn't go all the way to the center. So this square or rectangle actually was not completely solid with these concentric rectangles. There's only like 3 which framed this image, and it was a woman who was impregnated, and there is something I wrote that is one of my affirmations. Let me see if I could find it. So that's the other thing I'll bring up. It's I fill the frame of this lifetime. So my experiences, my thoughts, my actions, my words fill the frame of this lifetime. And so what that I kept on seeing that vision, and then when I did this about the 3rd time I did the clearing, I asked so several things happened. Always the raptors and the beings in the water came in, and they kind of deferred and stepped to the side, and then I asked, what is this frame, these concentric lines that are making these rectangles? What is that? What is that? So as soon as I started asking that question, I started seeing the form manifest in the center, and it was a woman who was impregnated. And then as that happened, this divine energy came in a masculine voice, saying, this is you, this is your responsibility. And then he kind of embedded this thought in my mind of me framing this life. And then a feminine voice came in at this just after that, and basically said the same thing from a feminine voice. You will frame this lifetime. And then they merged, so there were 2 voices speaking to me in at the same time. So there was the masculine and the feminine were represented, and they said, you will frame this world. it is up to you now to frame this world. And then I said, well, I still have my frustrations. I still have things that I'm struggling with. And specifically, my ex-husband has been quite difficult and making things very difficult for our children. Although he doesn't believe he is, but that's what's happening. So it brings out some frustration in me, and I can nip it in the bud pretty quick, but nevertheless, I still have that initial, frustration. I still have that initial confusion or even anger as to why this is happening and why he can't see what he's doing to the children. So I'm like, I'm like, these are still my struggles. And that was acknowledged, and then it was said, how did they say it? That has been taken care of. That's what was said. That has been taken care of. And so a lot of times for me, that release of, I tend to push myself really, really hard, like to the point of exhaustion or to the point of where I'm beating myself up because I'm not being perfect, because I'm not being what I feel I should be. And even though that's not perfect, it's not perfect. I set really high goals, high standards for myself. And when I don't meet them, or I meet them and then I fall short, and then I meet them and I fall short, I tend to really beat myself up. So to have them say this, it's taken care of, kind of relieves, for me in my mind, it relieves the worry of meeting that standard constantly that's on my mind, because I don't let things go. I tend to hold on to it, and I keep thinking about it, ruminating on it, and working towards it, because I have to perfect that skill or that goal. I have to reach it. And so that's kind of like this divine energy telling me that it understands how I work, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, how I'm doing it, and kind of alleviating that obligation or responsibility I've placed upon myself, and saying, you don't have to worry about that. And so what's funny is the second you stop worrying about something, that's kind of when you really actually master it, right? When you just allow it to happen, when you start allowing the flow of energy to happen. So it's kind of funny in a little bit, in a way, but that's what I needed. So it's not what we want that we're given, it's what we need. And so they just gave me what I needed to be that much more better, or that much more successful, or to reach the goals that I need. And so that message was very, it wasn't something I hadn't already been aware of, but it was all about timing. Like when I feel like there are different stages or phases that we go through, and each stage or phase is asking something different. It's asking for a different, giving me a different responsibility. And so even though I knew at some point this place, I would come to this place, I just didn't know when. So this message was, now is that time for you. And so I accept that responsibility, and I've worked very diligently to maintain the discipline necessary to meet my obligations. But that message was I don't want to say it gave me anxiety. I didn't create worry. It didn't do any of those things. But I did in my mind go, okay, oh, expletive, here we go. And so I'm like, you're going to help me with the words, right? You're going to help me be able to express myself in a way that's effective, efficient, clear, which is what I'm always trying to do, that people can hear, that resonates. And they're like, yes, we will. So I'm like, okay. And so when I when I normally would like come in and clear my energy and all that, I normally have a ton of beings all around me, just all kinds of beings all around. The raptors and the beings in the water being the two primary, like front and center. But today there was basically just Gladiola and the raptors came in, and then they immediately went out to the side and kind of faded into the void, and then just this one source energy representing masculine, feminine came in, and with no other. And so what I also asked about that, and I said, why, where did everybody go? And they're like, they are all integrated within you. So I thought to myself, okay, but what, so that might sound confusing or frightening to people, or off-putting. It might anger some people that I say that, but what this lesson in this transcendence is teaching us is that we all have this capacity. We all have this energy within us, not just me. I just work very, very diligently, and I'm very, very committed to my spirituality and to creating and maintaining that connection with the higher self and to the divine. And therefore, I am aware of how that divine energy resides within me and projects out from me. And my connection to all things. So I said, I think even a couple years ago, there was a mantra, or I call it a mantra, but it's also actually one of my affirmations, that is, I think it came to me in 2016 maybe, 2017 maybe, and it's, I am everything, everywhere, and nowhere. I permeate all things, unified always, never apart. And that's true of all of us. I just know it. I just know it. And I live from that place, understanding that I am connected to all things and I affect all things from this place, from my consciousness and from my heart. Okay? The two are separate. We perceive the two as separate in physical form, but they are, when we release these bodies eventually and we ascend from the physical form, they are unified and they are one unit. Okay? So part of this experience in this 3D form is separation, understanding our separate individual selves as fractals, and then as we transcend, understanding our interconnectedness, okay, and the necessity of that interconnectedness. And so as I say that, I was thinking about a show I was watching, which I really don't watch too much anymore, but they were talking about separation and giving up your autonomy, giving up, in order to become part of a collective, you have to give up your autonomy, your individuality. And I knew when I heard that it was time to stop watching the show. Okay, I don't know what just happened, but something happened with the equipment, so I'm just going to clear my energy really quick, and then I'll be right back. Hi, thank you. Sorry. Not really sure what happened. My computer shut off, so I turned it back on, and then I just watched the beginning that I just did, and somewhere the timing went off. But so the speech is different from is not matched. The audio and the video aren't aligned. But I'm just gonna leave it. I don't know when I put the movie in iMovie and I start editing, maybe it'll go back. I don't know. Sometimes that happens when these weird things happen. But I'm just going to leave it and not cut it out and not try to redo it, because it shows you, it's a good visual of how I see time speed up and slow down, because I see time speeding up and slowing down all the time. And it's because time it stretches. It's not constant. It stretches and it retracts. And so in the video, you can see it speed up and slow down. And I think that's the best visual I can give someone to show them how I see time stretching and contracting. The other thing is, I thought it stopped at a very poignant part where it said, I'm going to stop watching that movie. And I was like, that would be a synchronicity for me that I'm right, and I shouldn't watch that show, not movie, but show anymore. Also, when I was just clearing my energy again, I saw that rectangular shape with the pregnant female, and it came to me that the shape is part of the shifting paradigms, and also sacred geometry. And so these ideas that we have are so etched in stone, that changing and breaking out of these old paradigms is very difficult, has become very difficult for this society. And so what just came to me right now is, I think in one of my older videos, I'm sure in one of my older videos, at least a year ago, I was talking about it only takes one. If you understand the interconnectedness of the universe, if you understand the interconnectedness of all things, you understand that those who are aligned and devoted to our divine creator, the creator of all things, the source energy of this universe, or also people might think of it as this energy as God. If you understand your interconnectedness, you understand that it only takes one person connected and knowing that connection with that divine source energy to create the change that we want on this world. Okay, so I am one, but I know and I understand my interconnectedness with all things, so that I can use that energy force to create the change that Mother Earth needs. But I I'm not doing it alone because I have the raptors, I have the beings in the water and gladiola. There are many light workers on this planet that are human, born on earth, that are very connected and aligned with the divine source. So I use that energy, my personal energy field, to connect to their energy field, and we create a field and a force of energy to support the will of the divine, the will of Mother Earth, the will of all energy that we're connected to. And even this energy that considers itself negative, who wants to be separate, down deep, they are really seeking that source energy, okay? Just their experiences and their traumas over their lifetimes, whether they be here on earth or other worlds, have moved them to this place of separation, of fear of connecting, of fear of loving unconditionally. You know, they are fearful of being rejected or hurt. And so they pull away, much like, and I've used this metaphor before, when a little child doesn't get what it wants candy in the grocery store or wants a toy, and mom or dad says no, and they throw a temper tantrum, and then mom or dad comes to hug them and comfort them, and then they push them away because they don't want to be hugged or comforted. They want the candy or they want the toy, right? And so don't try to, this is them, don't try to comfort me because I'm not happy right now because I didn't get what I wanted, right? And so that's a very good metaphor for where this negative energy sits, in that it wants what it wants. It's pissed that it's not getting it. Don't try to love me. Don't try to hug me because you're not giving me what I wanted. And it thinks it wants this separation. It thinks it wants control. It thinks it wants to be at the top. But it really wants is to be loved and accepted. We all want to be loved and accepted for who we are. Okay, and allowed to be who we are. And that's the beauty of this divine energy. We are allowed to be who we are as loving beings in the universe. And then we share that with each other. And it's that sharing and that love that we share with one another that connects us, right? So it isn't a sacrifice. It's a blessing to be connected to all things around you. And so, but again, we have I'm going to just say like a pissed off toddler who's not getting what they want. So they're just pushing everything away, and they're trying to convince everybody that that is what they want too. You don't want to be part of a group. You want to have your own, you want to be your own person with your own things, your own possessions, right? That'll make you happy, right? That's what you want. So they've convinced many people that that's what they want. They want separation. They want their stuff. They want mine. That's mine. Okay? They want everything mine, mine, mine. Okay? So, and trust me when I say this, you have several people. So when I was watching Cosmic Disclosure, Tim was talking about these three timelines, these three most successful timelines that are ran by a head. Each have a head, a leader, right? And then they have a collective beneath them, right? A bunch of people beneath them, or a bunch of consciousnesses beneath them, right? And these are the three most successful timelines, and these are the realities that are being played out. But trust me when I say each one of these three timelines, they want their timeline to be the most successful. So I am sure they're trying to circumvent or undermine the others so that they have the most successful timeline, so they are the ones on top, right? So they are the most powerful. Okay, so even in this paradigm where they think this separation is a great thing and they're promoting it and they're looking at this one person at the top is looking out for everybody, in the end that one person at the top wants to be the most controlling, the most powerful over all else. They want to get rid of any competition, and they want to be that controlling source. Okay, and in the end, that's what they believe and what they're trying to achieve. Because of that fear of being rejected, that fear of being alone, the fear of not being accepted. So if you're in control of everything, it doesn't matter if anybody rejects or doesn't accept you, because you're the one calling the shots, right? And that goes back to even your childhood bullies. Why did they bully you? Fear that you would control them or overthrow them or put them in a submissive position, or boss them around, right? It's better that they get you before you get them. So they rally together and they oppress or bully everyone around them, so everybody's in fear of what might happen. And so that gives them a false sense of security and control. But nevertheless, as long as they can keep you believing that they are the ones in control and they are the ones that you should fear, nobody questions that. And that's kind of very much where we are right now on this world. People are very much committed to fear, and they're not questioning the authority. They're just hoping that the authority will keep them safe and protect them from any threats. Okay? So they've it's like a Stockholm syndrome, where you sympathize with your captors. Okay? Well, as long as I comply, they'll keep me safe, right? As long as I can comply, everything will be all right. Well, we're breaking out of that. We're moving out of that. And we're releasing that. And it only takes one. And so those who are strong in their faith and courageous in their beliefs and steadfast in those beliefs connect with that source energy, help create a unifying force and a unifying field, and assist in creating change on this world and move Mother Earth into balance. They are transcending. Okay, I think that's just a different perspective, a different way to look at that. People who are committed to their path and purpose and creating change and coming from a place of love and light, accepting people for who they are, and trusting and having faith in that source energy or God or the divine source. Okay, those people who are living from that place are transcending. And we've all determined that by our thoughts, our actions, our words. Okay? And it's sometimes hard for me to say that, but I've done some past life regressions like 5 or 6 years ago that are still, I have very clear memories of. And so they're with people who I have shared lifetimes with. And so I've seen their lessons from past lives. And I see their lifetime in this, I see this lifetime because they're part of my life in this lifetime. And I see where they've been and where they are now and where they need to go to transcend. And I see that they have not learned all the lessons. Okay, there is, through wisdom and experience, I could see that these folks have not learned all their lessons. And therefore, they're not ready to transcend. And so I can see it from a very clear place, from a loving place, from an accepting place, from a compassionate place, to know that they're not ready to transcend and that they will be moving to another world. And it's not a bad thing, and I can say that with love and compassion. But I think, and I allow them to go through that. I think some people have a hard time letting go. And so what I would suggest is that you work towards letting go with love and gratitude and compassion, and allowing that person to walk their journey and you continue on your journey. Because there are many people who we don't know now that will be entering our lives, as family, as people we love and care about who vibrate at the same level as we do. So we're moving out of this idea of thought of what it means to be faithful or religious or compassionate and kind, and we're moving to a place of action where we live from a place of faith, spirituality, kindness, compassion, acceptance, tolerance, forgiveness, faith. And as we do that, we raise our vibration. And we all have a unique vibration, a unique frequency. And all people whose vibration is at the same level as ours, who are vibrating at our similar level, holding a frequency at our similar level, we will gravitate towards one another, and we will come together as a new type of family or relation, and we are and have been creating a new collective from that place. And so when in the past I've talked in videos about collective psychosis, and these secret space program folks have mentioned something about their concern with a collective psychosis. There's not going to be a collective psychosis, because the people who are transcending this world are living at a very high vibration and a very high frequency, and have a very clear knowing and understanding of their connection to the divine and this source energy and this universe. Okay, so there's no collective psychosis. If that happens, it'll happen on a different timeline, but it's not going to happen here. But still, we see this on TV, and they start planting the seeds to create the fear and separate. Okay, to create the separation through fear. So I don't feel like this is going to be a very long video. I feel like I should probably start to wrap it up. So because I'm just starting to repeat a lot of things, but I feel like it's important for people to understand that it only takes one to create the change that this world needs. And I am fully committed to that path and purpose of creating the change that this world needs. And so that is the message that I received today, that is my obligation to create that wave, and to, with my vibration and my frequency, to draw people to me who are on that same path and purpose, and who will support that change from a place of love and light that has been willed by the divine, by Mother Earth, and by all energy on this planet that sees itself as separate or as collective, but at one point saw itself as separate, but is now moving into a unifying force, a unifying field to create the change that this world needs. But when I did my first past life regression, no wait, the second one, I think, I traveled through a wormhole, and I was pulled off Earth, and I kind of panicked a little, because I was so far away. I could see Earth behind me, and I was like, that's my home. And I traveled through a wormhole, and I had all these white lights around me that were the shape of marquees. And I looked back, and they showed me Earth, and they said, but it was old Earth. It was like around the time that I felt like dinosaur age, like Pangea, when Earth was lush and beautiful and green. I could see the planet lush and beautiful and green. And they say Earth can be this way again, but there needs to be a catalyst. There needs to be a catalyst for change. And so the message for me today was, you are the catalyst for change. And so that was the message back then, but I don't think they wanted to drop that bomb on me right then. It was just inspiring me to create the change within, so that I could create the change in the world that I wanted to see. And it wasn't like I had a plan, But I did know, because that was the beginning of my spiritual awakening when I took that meditation class. Or it was actually called a Psychic 1 class, but it was basically a meditation class. I knew that that was one of my tools that I would use to grow, develop, understand myself and my connection to the divine from a different perspective. So here we are in this place now where it's time to create that change and to be the catalyst. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you.